This is the Financially Simple Podcast, a show dedicated to destroying the complexities of money for today's small business owner. And now, here's your host, pizza-loving, certified financial planner, Justin Goodbread.
Welcome to Financially Simple. I'm your host, Justin Goodbread, and today we're going to begin our discussion on leadership. Now, more specifically, we're going to address what is leadership in the small business setting. Now, we're at the point where we're going to do our deep dive in the area of leadership. So just as a recursor, in business, we have 8 different areas. So we spent the last few episodes talking about planning and what business planning is. Obviously, we're in the leadership section. The next way we go to our sales, then our marketing, then our people, then our ops, then our finance, and our legal. And my intention is to do a deep dive or several different episodes in each one of these 8 areas, or the 8 fundamental areas of business, and to bring out why each of these 8 areas can drive the value of your company. So today we're going to begin our deep dive into leadership. And I want to try to paint the picture in this way. Have you ever walked into a bookstore? Surely you have. I can't be the only person who's ever walked into a bookstore. I mean, I know many times now we shop on Amazon, but my goodness, I love going into the bookstore, like a Barnes & Noble or a Books A Million, and I love going to look at their new books. I love just seeing what books are being written. As you may know, you've heard me say this, I love reading. I read a book a week, just what I like to do. I was just reading a book from another podcast that I like to listen to, Mark Kohler. He does a great little podcast on tax and legal, and I just finished up his book this last week that he wrote. So anyways, whenever you go to the bookstore, inevitably, you may end up, if you're like me, I end up in the leadership area. There's an area in our Books A Million store here in Knoxville that's leadership. I can see it on the wall. And if you go there, there's a couple of dozen, 15, 20 books on leadership that are written about every year. And they typically include what I call a mountaintop story. A mountaintop story, they kind of aggravate me. I'm going to be honest. That's people who, they went through some sort of something, and now they're on the top of the mountain, and they're writing, hey, look how I did it, follow me. I don't see that as a very helpful book typically for me. So I see it as a mountaintop story. And then you may see the corporate success story. And these are the consultants or the department heads who work for many, many, many years, and now they're writing their story about their corporate success. And here's what they did, and maybe you should do the same thing. I have a hard time with those too, because times change. And the things that they used to drive success in the 90s or even 2000s or even crap yesterday, even the things we did yesterday, they're not going to typically work tomorrow. So the corporate success stories on leadership, they kind of aggravate me a little bit. And then you read the tragedy, and this is where someone had something just catastrophic happen. And I can empathize with this. Like I said, I went through a hard time in business, and it left some scars on me that hurt. So I get the tragedy story, but man, I don't want to lose something. I don't want to lose my family to be able to write a book about it. I just don't. Sorry, I'm a weakling. One thing I rarely see, though, is leadership books written for small business owners, by small business owners. I just typically don't see that. That don't fall into that mountaintop story or that corporate success or the tragedy story. I just don't see that often. I've seen a couple of them. They're fun reads, but very seldom. So over the next few episodes, I want to address leadership, but I don't want to address it from the mountaintop because Lord knows I'm not on a mountaintop. I don't want to address it from a corporate success position because I've never been a corporate employee. And Lord, please don't make me address it from a tragedy standpoint. I don't want that. But I want to address leadership from a small business owner's mindset. That's who I am. I'm a small business owner. And I want to specifically deal with the point where leadership ties directly to value. So that's my intent on the deep dive leadership modules that we're going to go over for the next few episodes. John Quincy Adams, one of our presidents, as you may know, said, if your actions inspire others to dream more, to learn more, to do more, and become more, you are a leader. Lei Su, if I'm saying that correct, we were having a debate in the office. Here, do me a favor. Connect with me on social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram. Shoot me a message. Shoot me a video if you want to. Tell me how to correctly pronounce his name. Laotzu. I pronounce it Lei Su. Maybe I'm wrong. But anyways, he said, a leader is best when people barely know he exists. When his work is done, his aim fulfilled, they will say, we did it ourselves. And I love both of those things. See, the commonality is bringing the best out of people. So then I begin to ask my question, well, Justin, what exactly is leadership? Now, I don't know about you, but if you've ever Googled leadership, man, there's so many different things. I finally found one quote or somebody trying to define leadership, and it said, leadership is hard to define. I went, you reckon? Some people say leaders are the individuals who the organization deems is in charge. But I don't completely say that just because someone's in charge that they're a leader. So I don't think that's a complete definition of a leader. You could define leadership as the activity of directing a group of people in an organization with a common goal. Well, that's true. You can stand back and bark orders, but does that mean that you're the leader, or does that just mean you're a dictator? Well, I guess you could put dictatorship and leadership in the same scenario, but I don't know. It's a little bit better definition. You could go as far as saying leadership is the act of inspiring subordinates to a common mission. Yeah, there's inspiration there. You're trying to get people to see a little bit more than them. Then you can go into the old servant leadership where it's people, you're going to follow me because I'm going to be behind you pushing you, or I'm going to be in front of you pulling you. I mean, there's two different ways that you can use that type of leadership. But man, I personally feel that so many of these are so trite and they're lacking in the definition of leadership. So here's the way I define leadership. And this is me. I just wrote this out. This is the way I think about it. Maybe I'm right. Maybe I'm wrong. Let me know. So I describe leadership as the person or group of people. So not just one person. Leaders can be a group of people who set the vision and mission of success through authority, responsibility, and by decisive decisions, ability, strategy, and creativity, motivate each other to reach their unknowing capacity in individual responsibility. Let me say that again. This is the way I describe it. You're like, Justin, that's a mouthful. Yeah, I get it. I was trying to define leadership, folks. It's hard. So I define leadership as the person or group of people that set the vision and the mission of success through authority, responsibility, and by decisive actions, ability, strategy, and creativity. They motivate each other to reach their unknowing capacity of individual responsibility. Let me put it another way. That's like, Justin, this is not financially simple. That was a mouthful. I would put it this way. I want others to be all they can be. That to me is a leader. So I began looking at leadership and I looked at, well, are leaders creative? Yeah, leaders have to have creativity. They have to have the ability to be able to encourage others, convince others, show others that there's more in them than they see in themselves. To me, that's a leader. Do they have to have charisma? You know, each leader in their own right has charisma. I remember one of my dear friends growing up. He was like talking to a wall. He really was. He would rarely smile. He'd blink his eyes and he'd kind of look at you with a poker face. But when he would just talk, it was funny. And I just loved being around the fella. Just funny, funny, funny. But he didn't have that charisma, the life of the party, that strong I personality when you walk in the room. He was kind of quiet, just witty. But he had a charisma about him, and it caused others to see more in themselves. We laughed. We saw funnier sides of ourselves. Leaders are innovative. There's lots of innovation. We think of things that others have not thought of. We do not know the word no. Yeah, we do have some authority, but the authority is often not requested. Anybody who honestly wants authority has never had authority, because when you have authority, it brings a lot of angst and some turmoil with it. You know, someone said everybody wants to be the lead dog, but then they realize that it can be a lot of danger up in the front. A leader has to have capacity. They have to have mental capacity, physical capacity, emotional capacity. They have to be able to handle a lot of different things. They've got to be responsible. A leader has to be responsible. I'm trying to teach my middle son. My middle son, he's a negotiator. Anytime we tell him to do something, it is like, let's figure out how I can't do it. I told him the other day, I said, son, you spend more time trying to figure out how you can't do it than you can do it. We were spraying the fence with some bleach. We're getting ready to stain the fence around the farm. We're going to stain it a black. And we were making up a bleach composite. So we used a pull shock and we mixed it in the big sprayer that we carry on the tractor. and we were spraying the boards down to get all the mold and the algae and everything off the fence. We got done. I was cleaning up the tractors. Hey, buddy, run over there and get all those bags of bleach, the bags that the concentrated chlorine came in. You go ahead and pick that up. Okay, yes, Dad. So we went over. He picked up half the bags, left half of them on the ground. And I said, son, you left the bags. Well, Dad, I didn't see them. I said, what do you mean you didn't see them? You picked up half, you didn't pick up the other half. Well, Dad, I didn't see them. I said, son, come on, man. We've got to have responsibility here. Whenever Daddy asks you to do something, he expects you to get it done, man. So we had to deal with responsibility even with a 10-year-old. But leaders have to have responsibility. They have ability. They typically have some sort of an ability. And we'll talk about that in just a second, the ability that leaders often have. They can strategize. They can see the way around problems. They're not single-directional thinkers. They're typically multi-directional thinkers. And they have a mission. They have a vision. And they are clear upon making decisions. They don't vacillate. They may vacillate across a major decision, but they typically make a decision, they move forward. But most importantly, leaders can define success. One of my key values that I said, I did this on our Facebook Live episode. By the way, for those of you who are not connected with Financially Simple on Facebook Live, twice a week we go on there now, and on Thursdays and Friday in the afternoon, we have an Ask Justin. And I answer the questions that you guys are asking, and then I do a series on the client questions, so the questions that our clients actually ask. So why don't you connect with us on Facebook Live? Enough of that. Let me go back to the core values. One of my core values is we will win. We will win. We will win. But you have to define the win. You have to define for the parties that you're overseeing, you have to define what it means to win. Because we will win. There's not an option. We burnt the boats, as I often say. We burned them. They're gone. We're going forward. We're not stopping. So leaders often have success in their eyes. They know what success is and they can define it.
You are listening to Financially Simple, destroying the complexities of money for today's small business owner.
Why in the world is leadership so important? Why are we even spending time talking about this? You're like, Justin, dude, I get it. I need to be able to tell my team members how to accomplish their work. No, friends, it's more than that. It's more than that. There was a study done by Cornell University. It was a Cornell study on publicly traded stock companies. And here's what they found. Companies with leaders who can effectively connect and communicate with the employees, the clients, and the shareholders are valued at 50% higher than their competitors. Let me say that again. The Cornell study says that the leaders, the companies who have leaders, people in positions of leadership that can effectively communicate with their employees, their clients, and their shareholders are valued at 50% greater than their competitors. Now, friends, I don't know about you, but I want to be the company that's valued in that highest percentile. In order for me to do that, I must be an effective leader. So leadership matters. In the same study, it said the best-in-class companies, CEOs, the managers, the owners, the top poobah in the company, spend 18% more of their time with customers, and they leverage the intellectual capacity of their team. Friends, they're not taking their time to micromanage. They're trying to put the right people on the bus, as Jim Collins once said, and get them in the right seat. But more importantly, they're spending 18% more time with customers, the people who are helping them grow the company. This is that of a best-in-class leader. So then I ask the question, so who are the leaders of an organization? Is it just the CEO? Is it just the owner? Is it the board of directors? Is it the senior management? Is it the managers? And you may say, Justin, it's all those. And I would agree with you, but it's even more than that. See, so many times leaders think top down. Think of a triangle. At the top of the triangle, put yourself if you're the business owner. And as the business owner, you are potentially in a position of leadership. Now, you may not be. I know several business owners that are not the leaders of their company, but potentially you're in this position of leadership of your company. And so we think that we flow down information from the top of the triangle, the pinnacle, the precipice of that particular point. We think that's where we're at, and we dictate and we drive down conversation. We drive down orders. We drive down values. We drive down everything down through the management, down through the individuals. We expect the rank and files to listen to us and do what we say. But friends, that's not exactly how it works. In fact, if we take this dictatorial stand in our small businesses, we could end up with things that I often see. We could end up with high turnover of team. We could end up with a stagnant business. We could see businesses who the team is not happy. We'll talk about values, but they're not plugged in. The people are not plugged in. The company's stagnated and their revenues aren't increasing. That's what happens when you do a top-down managerial or dictatorial style of leadership. Jim Collins, which is the author of Good to Great, did some great work on the process of leadership. And they actually identified 5 levels of leaders. In fact, if you Google and go to YouTube, you actually see him doing the interview on the 5 levels of leaders. Leadership is actually multi-directional. It's actually multi-directional. Jim Collins said, "We found that for leaders to make something great, their ambition has to be for the greatness of the work and the company rather than themselves." So he's identifying one of the key aspects of leaders is to be able to look at the bigger effect, the major role in the company. So let's then take what he's saying and let's apply it across all avenues. So in that same pinnacle, that same triangle, that same pyramid effect, whatever picture you want to put in your mind, let's start at the base. Let's start down where the cornerstone of the pyramid would be. And this is typically going to be your starters, your skill, your rank and file, those individuals starting at the basic entry level of the company. Do you realize that they can be leaders? These are highly capable individuals many times. Now, not all. I get that not all entry-level positions are highly capable, but many times we have to start somewhere. I can remember whenever I was an entry level. I can remember whenever some of my team members here were entry level at their various jobs beforehand. See, the entry level makes productive contributions through talent, through knowledge, through skills, and through good work habits. That's where we begin at. We start with just some basics. We start with very good talent, God-given intuition, with our knowledge that we have, and ultimately with our good work habits. But then we don't stop there. As people begin noticing, then we become not only individual, but then we go to level 2, and we become a contributing team members. And now we're contributing individual capabilities to the achievement of a greater cause. So as soon as we hire somebody, our first goal within our leadership ought to get them where they're self-focused, now to where they're programmed in on to accomplish something that's greater than themselves, that has a group objective on it. That's a level 2 leader. Now, once you pass that level 2 leader, then you're getting into the competent manager. And this is the person who organizes people and resources toward the effective and efficient pursuit of a predetermined objective. That's what Jim Collins is calling a level 3. It is maybe now that baseline manager. So they've come through and they've identified themselves as a key individual, and now they became a contributing part of a team, and now they've accelerated themselves above that team to where now people are identifying within the leader of that team, so you now promote them to just a manager. Now, after you become a manager there, and now you may be one of multiple managers, one of the businesses that we actively work on, they have about 150 employees to it. And it's a nice little business. It's a successful business, but they have about 6 managers. What's interesting is they're all older than me. I think it's kind of comical that I walk in now almost as a 40-year-old and I'm talking with 50 and 60-year-olds regularly. It's just funny to me. But this is where I am a specialist in, and I would never be a specialist in this particular business. These guys are super smart. I'm just in a business. These guys are super smart. Guys and gals. I say guys, universal. But, what I've noticed in the business is eventually a peer group of managers, eventually there's a key manager. And so you promote them to an effective leader. And this is a level 4. This is the commitment to vigorous pursuit, clear and compelling vision. This individual is trying to get others to stimulate their highest performance standards. That's the level 4 leader. And eventually you get up to the top, level 5, and that's the executive. See, the executive is not automatically the leader. Just because you started a business doesn't mean you're an effective leader. You have to be able to walk through each of those levels. Even if you're a business owner, you say, well, Justin, it's just me by myself. I have a grass cutting business. Me and my lawnmower. Buddy, I've been there. but you still have to be highly capable as an individual. And then when you hire that person on, you've got to get that next person to be a contributing team member. And then you have to get that next person to realize that they can organize other people, or find that individual who can organize other people. And your job is to bring them along. And your job then is to take that individual who can organize other people, who's the cream of the crop, so to speak, of the manager. And your job now is to make them an effective leader, one who can articulate clear and compelling visions, who can stimulate the performance of the other team members. That's the effective leader. And only then, friend, only then have you reached that of a level 5. Only then can you blend greatness through a paradoxical blend of personal humility and professional will. See, I know several people who might be good, competent managers, but they're not a good leader. They're not a level 5 executive. They get too haughty. They don't have personal humility. They don't have professional will. That's not what they're after. They're oftentimes self-serving. So friends, that's the levels of leadership. So let me ask you this. Who is the leader in your company? Is it the manager? Are you sure it's the CEO? Perhaps, just perhaps, the best leader of your company, maybe that new hire, or maybe that day laborer who you could just give a little bit of encouragement to. They can end up motivating and bringing your team along. So friends, over the next couple of episodes, we're going to dive deep into leadership. I'm going to give you several resources, but I wanted to start off with, what is a leader? What is a leader? For the small business friends, just because we're the boss, just because we started the business, doesn't mean we're the leader. I want you to think about that. And guys, with that, I want you to check out the Financially Simple blog. Sign up for our newsletter. We had a bunch of people sign up this last week. We had just redid our outline, or our layout of the newsletter, and we got a lot of compliments on it. The team has actually started adding some new different scenarios to it. People ask me, Justin, what books are you reading? I get that request all the time. One of the things we're actually looking at doing is starting my Amazon book reading list. So you can see what I'm reading and why I'm reading it. And so we're thinking about that. But guys, if you like the podcast, please subscribe. Leave us a good review on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, somewhere. And if you don't like the show, hey, tell somebody about it anyways. Like I say every week, life is hard. It is. We get it. Life is good, and life can be frustrating. Yesterday, I wanted to hit my head against the wall dealing with some stuff. Oh, money doesn't have to be. Money doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be good. It doesn't have to be frustrating. Money is money. It's an intangible. Let's just continue to make our lives at least financially simple. Hey guys, y'all go out and create a great day.
You have been listening to the Financially Simple podcast. The information in this show is for informational purposes only. This show is not investment advice. Instead, seek help from a competent financial advisor. Justin Goodbread, CFP, is an investment advisor representative of Heritage Investors, a registered investment advisor.